all of your asses would be beat by now. Not you guys,
Is
because I
this
like
really
y'all.
what you want to tell our listeners, your followers, your fans?
Yeah, listen,
If
they
it
already know
wasn't-
about my weird thing with feet. Like, they're just listen. This parasocial relationship is gonna happen one way or another. They might as well be prepared.
Okay, girl, you got it. Anyway, welcome to the second episode of Choose Your Fighter. It's
Only the
your
second
girl
episode.
Rhea Mars, and then we got Kai, Burning Star, and then we have Kara.
I prefer Jock Kara.
Okay,
Okay,
Kara the jock.
Yeah.
and
Kara
we're here with
Jock.
Jock Kara, our homegirl Jock Kara. And today we're talking about fucking Cyberpunk and the shit show that was.
Ooh.
You know, another thing we're kind of late on, but also kind of not late on, because I feel like this is something that we will probably be talking about for the end of time. It's kind of
The
an
next year or two.
iconic thing that happened in the worst type of way. They say that when you are famous for something bad, it's truly just notoriety. But when you are iconic for something bad, what's the phrase for that?
Is that
Being
like a trick
notorious.
question?
Oh, you said
or-
that. Infamous? Did you
Yes,
want a real
infamous.
answer?
Infamous?
Yeah, being
Yeah.
infamous.
Yes, being infamous. You're right. It was not a trick question. No,
Okay,
Oh.
I got you.
figured
I
there
know all
was
the
a word
vocabulary.
because, like, why wouldn't there be? You know, this isn't the first person or thing to ever be famous for being that bad. But unfortunately, cyberpunk is just one of those things that I mean, you know, we're not going to talk about it for history on history, or maybe we might. Who knows, right? But we probably won't. But, you know, for the rest of the year, people are definitely going to be making jokes, and their reputation is basically ruined.
Yeah.
So I had some things to say, but Kara, Jock Kara, Kai, one of y'all can start off because I feel like I talked a lot.
That's fine. I mean, yeah. Yeah, they really screwed the pooch here, CD Project Red, with their relationship to gamers, because for 5 years easily, and part of this is their fault, not to victim blame, but well, I mean, this is their fault that they released a bad game in the first place when they could have, not done that. But anyways, they really screwed the pooch here, and part of that is their fault, because for the past 5 years or so, ever since The Witcher 3 came out, they were really building up their reputation among gamers as like almost like a the pick me company, where like we're not like other girls, we're not like other companies, we actually care about you guys, and here's how. And I don't know, I mean, I think they did like a few cool things that are like consumer friendly, like I don't know. I mean, well, they made a bunch of big promises, which is the problem. But like they made The Witcher 3, which a lot of people regard as one of the best games ever. I'm not sure if I completely agree, like entirely, but like I mean that it is widely regarded as one of the best games ever. And so they kind of was riding off of that, and also a lot of other big companies were kind of fucking up around the time, like Bethesda and Bioware, even, and a few other places. So they were using they were using their failures as a sort of, we aren't gonna fuck up like them. And then here we are. They fucked up like them, and in some ways a little worse, because say what you want about Fallout 4 and Skyrim and Mass Effect Andromeda. I mean, they didn't make all those promises, like so many fucking promises that they didn't quite deliver on.
Right. So
Mhm.
and that's kind of what I was saying about all of this, really. And that's still my conclusion. It's just that but yeah, you're bullshitting. You have something that's due on a certain date. But you also don't necessarily need to show your teacher that you're working on it. So you're bullshitting. The whole entire, like, let's say you have a month to work on it. The first 2 weeks, you're really just bullshitting. You're saying that you're working on it, doing all these fantastic things, really hyping it up because you think that that it really only takes 1 week to do, as opposed to the month that you have. And then that week comes and you realize, oh shit, like, yeah, like I guess it's technically possible to do this in a week, but it's also not possible for me to do this in a week. So you bring bullshit once everything's all said and done, and people are 10 times more mad at you. Like it would have just been a mediocre project if you hadn't said anything and you just brought it in. But because you hyped it up so much, everyone knows that you were just bullshitting the whole month now, you know?
You're stressing me out just thinking about it.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I don't it's just some I feel like this for some reason really parallels to me with that type of dynamic. It's a trust. It's that type of trust that you have with clients and the game developers where it's like you say you're working on this, but we really won't know. And even, I was watching, I don't know his name. I'll probably plug it under the video because I'm going to be getting a lot of my information from him. But they basically made these trailers with different types of technology that you weren't going to see in the game. So they purposely made these high quality, high tech, wonderfully detailed trailers that are
Even the
never
demo.
ever going to be in the game, and they're basically essentially just cutscenes. You know what I mean? Like you're never going to actually be able to walk around this city like an open world and be immersed in that. Like it's definitely, it you guys have played or like seen people play the game. It's definitely
Mm.
open world esque, but
Mhm.
it's not as smart. It's not even as smart as The Witcher 3. And I would argue that a lot of other quote unquote open worlds are smarter than Witcher 3 personally. But that's also just my opinion. And I you're right. Like they did have, I don't know why they had such a big head over Witcher 3. I mean, I guess I would have a big head over it too if Netflix also picked up my game for a series, but that series wasn't even good.
Well, it's
So
based off the
like,
books. In all
yeah, it's
fairness, The
also based off the
Witcher.
book. So it's
Yeah.
like I just didn't really know. Like, The Witcher 3 was a good game, but it just wasn't like fantastic. I also wanted to talk about, and this is why I said that I was going to talk a lot, but this is kind of the last thing I'm going to say. And this is what I got from that guy. So what the game developers call that shit is called Bioware Magic, and that's basically,
Ah, I
yeah.
think I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Right. Yeah. It's basically a shorthand for all of the people who are in the know, but now all of us because they fucked up so royally. But
Mhm.
all the people who are in the know that Bioware Magic is the shorthand that they say where it's like the whole game will come together in with by the end. Like by the end, it will all come together as some type of happy accident, for lack of a better phrase. And that's also real. When I look back on the way I make art, that's real. There's definitely projects where like you've created something and it's something completely different now, but for some reason it works better than your original idea ever could. The problem
Mm.
is that shit literally only works when it comes to creativity. It will never ever 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 work when it comes to things like technology. And that's why games are so interesting to me, because it's where art meets computer science. So yeah, like you can bullshit and say that this is going to be a crazy outer experience, out of this world game, and blah blah blah. Like all of that is great in theory, but then you need the coding, right? Then you need all of this, like you need real hard work. And the truth of the matter is also it's just that yeah, they needed a lot more time, but they also needed to start on time. I remember last time we were talking about this, they made an announcement in 2000, I want to say 2016, but I think Kai, you said 2014 they made the announcement that they were working on the game.
Yeah, like the very first trailer announcement that they made was 2013, like
Right.
before the book
So
came out.
what I basically found out is that they didn't even really, like they weren't even really working on the game at the time, and that's why I gave that analogy. It's like they just said that they were, and they didn't do shit about it. Or no, it's actually not that at all. My fault. I'm sorry. They were working on a game that at the time they thought was going to be Cyberpunk 2077, but it just didn't turn out that way. And they scrapped it completely and worked on a new game. So the game that we see right now was only really under production for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
And
yeah.
that's like deplorable. I don't think I would even give a regular game. And we'll be lucky if people even play this in 2022, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, so jumping off of the point, like it's is it even possible to make a game in 2 years? The
mhm.
thing is that it is to an extent. I mean, the thing is that the type of game that CD Projekt Red clearly wanted to make in regards to The Witcher and not Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077,
Right.
that
Yeah.
type of game is
Yeah.
absolutely impossible to make in like in 2 years. But
Right.
it's not impossible to make a game in 2 years. Like something I've always found incredible and incredibly interesting is the fact that Majora's Mask, a Legend of Zelda game, they made
Mhm.
that in like about a year, like at least less than 2 years. It came out almost
Wow.
immediately after Ocarina of Time. But the
That's
Mhm.
thing
insanely
is,
impressive to me.
that isn't, yeah, but the thing is that Ocarina of Time, it was its precursor. Like it was like the first game, and then they decided to use assets from Ocarina of Time for Majora's Mask. And it
Mhm.
doesn't even feel lazy like it should because there's actually a reason for that. Like I don't know if you know how much you know about Legend of Zelda in general or Majora's
Mhm.
Mask in particular, but it takes place Majora's Mask in this almost like alternate world to Hyrule called Terminal, where
Mhm.
everything looks like Majora like looks like stuff from Ocarina of Time. Like there's characters that you see from that game here. Like there's everything more or less like looks the same races and everything, but everything's just a little different, and that's because it's like an alternate world essentially. So it's kind of clever in that way, so that the reuse of the assets doesn't feel lazy. It feels like it's a part of the story. Like, oh, you see this character before? Well, that's because they exist and they have a Hyrule counterpart, essentially. And that's another reason why they could get a game like that out in
Mhm.
such a short amount of time because the assets already existed. Like the foundation was there. They're using the same engine. That's another thing. Like I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure they almost had to have made a new engine for Cyberpunk, right? Or
They
at the very
actually
least,
didn't, and that was the or not a new engine, but I don't know about an engine, but one of the main problems that a lot of other people noticed is that they were using the same coding from The Witcher 3, like to the point where it was just truly copy and paste.
oh yeah, that's not great because yeah, I mean,
Yeah, they really
so
fucked up.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, so you don't always have to like completely scrap a new engine and make for a new game, but like, you should at least improve on the engine from like, especially for like a next generation game. But I mean, that's besides the point, I guess. But yeah, like, you can make a game in a short amount of time. I mean, it's like rare, but you could do it and it could even come out like incredible. But they it depends on the type of game you're making and the scale you're making. Like Ocarina of
Yeah,
Time is I meant not Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask is on a smaller scale than Ocarina of Time. There's four main dungeons. There's yeah, there's like four main dungeons. It's definitely more story based than it is it's like and Termina's like in general like a smaller scale version of Hyrule in general. It's like everything's on a smaller scale, but it still feels large because the story is like so wide scoping and everything. So
hmm
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I could do a whole episode about that, but anyway, that's beside the point. You can make a good game in a short amount of time. It's just it would have to be on a smaller scale. Cyberpunk was on a much larger scale, and
yeah,
if they wanted to make a good game, they might have been better off just doing like a action adventure type game that's more story linear based. Like honestly, maybe something like Uncharted. Honestly,
So, How about them dick physics?
Ah!
I feel like we have to come
Yes.
to this. We have to come to this and talk about it.
Yes, talk in depth
Exactly. How
about
could
what
we
you think about
fucking
the dick
forget the
physics,
main
Kiara.
part? The
Okay,
fucking
so
dicks. Go ahead.
all right, so this is coming at you guys straight from Reddit. A lot of elite gamer males are dissatisfied with the dick physics, and let me tell you guys why. For some reason, there's like this some way that you can totally, sidestep that whole process and totally forget to put on your dick, I guess to say. A lot of guys have been upset about this. They'll get through half the game and be like, "Hey bros, man, my dick's not there. What do I do?" Like, I don't want to restart, but I definitely need it there. Like, right there, that moment, their whole masculinity just like lines on that, and that's a huge problem for them. So, yeah, developers, get on that.
Developers, you could have given us a fucked up shitty game that wasn't playable at all. But the real question is, why didn't you make it easily accessible to always have a dick? Why? Honestly,
And
let's talk
additionally,
about some real complaints though. Why can't I customize my labia? Why can't I customize my clit? I
oh
want
god,
to
you stole my
customize a
point.
vagina. I
Yeah,
don't care about dicks.
the
I
vagina
want to
scales aren't
customize my
there.
vagina.
They're just not there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't even
Me
know
as
what
well
I'm
as
really
Ram
asking
are
for from this game.
disappointed.
They can't even make a real fucking game. Like, what am I asking for? The fucking nuanced physics of vagina.
Yeah, I
This is
mean,
sex discrimination we have here. You know,
Yeah, I can.
girls are being ladies, vagina havers are being left behind. When are we gonna be,
You're not wrong. That's the
when are we gonna be allowed to customize just like guys? And I mean, the guy custom, the dick customization isn't that great. Just small and okay size, but
and
that's
then
still a hell of a lot
large, quote
more.
unquote.
that's
Large,
real.
quote unquote, is basically normal. Like, is that really large?
I
I
don't
don't
want to be
know.
racist, but they should have consulted. Those
Like,
dicks were not big. That's all
Did
I'm
you
trying to say.
really?
whoa, we did not
How
look
did
at
you
dicks.
torment?
Where were we?
Anyway.
We were talking about dicks. We were still on the
Yeah.
same topic.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Honestly, I'm more upset that like we can't even get a hair change in the middle of the game. Like that's another weird ass problem that they changed from The Witcher. Like, what the fuck do you mean that I can't get a haircut like Geralt, fucking Gary from the first game? I'm from The Witcher 3. He could change his hairstyle at any point as long as he found a barber or whatever. But you're telling me in this world where you can literally modify your body parts and everything about you, you can't change your fucking hairstyle? Like, I can get my hair done in real life. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, that's another thing. It's like they downgraded, honestly, in several aspects
Oh yeah.
of this game. It-
That is a legitimate complaint.
yeah, like, what do you
Like
mean?
no in-game customizations. A lot of people were complaining about that. And
Yeah,
especially where it should make sense. I mean, it should make sense in this game.
Yeah.
yeah. So something I also kind of wanted to say real quick is that, you know, I just feel like when we talk about corporations, a lot of like, especially corporations like this, a lot of lingo can get lost in the sauce to the point where it could seem like we're complaining to the actual game developers, the people who are really working those long ass hours to make sure that every single graphic looks right. It kind of sounds like we're complaining about them. And I guess I just kind of wanted to emphasize or at least just state that like obviously that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about the bald-headed white man in charge that sent out that apology video, that
Is he
bullshit
bald?
apology
Oh, yeah,
video.
yeah.
That's who we're talking about when we're talking, because I was about to just say to that comment specifically that, you know, like they're just lazy. They were lazy and they didn't want to do it. But I just want to say that by And also just say that I'm not talking about the actual developers. Because, like, of course, they were just doing their jobs, just doing what they're told. In fact, it's a lot like the Sonic Hedgehog situation where all of those animators were telling the big heads that this shit was not going to work, it was not going to look good, and people were not going to buy tickets to see this on their screen. And they didn't believe them until that backlash happened. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing that happened here. And even with Sonic the Hedgehog, like that could have been an okay movie, but nobody wanted to see it. I just feel like people really underestimate first impressions. That's what they felt, and that's how they felt. They were like, yeah, it will just happen because I'm not personally responsible for it happening. So I know the people who are personally responsible for that happening will get it together. No way I'm making unrealistic demands or anything. And then once they saw what they saw, they had to like cover their asses with this bullshit apology. It's just like I feel like I guess what I'm trying to say is that the corporation itself was fucking lazy and fucking pathetic in this move, not the people who worked their asses off just to like barely make minimum wage of like what they should really be getting. Um yeah, not them. And I think that's kind of important, what I mean, especially as artists ourselves. I could easily see one of us taking some I mean we have taken bullshit jobs where we're not really in charge of what is really being even though it looks like we're in charge of it, we're not really in charge of it. And I think like gaming, animating, even movies have that problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely not talking about the actual game developers. I'm definitely referring to the corporate side of everything.
Go ahead, call him
Like
bald
I
headed white
said.
man. Call him bald headed white man.
Okay, the bald-headed white man that I nearly got out of my dream car to dream fight. Um yeah, him. Yeah, it's definitely his fault and all the other corporate heads that rushed the game. Like I think there's even, I'm not sure entirely how confirmed this is, but like some of the developers were literally, when they heard the announcement of the release date, they're just like, "Oh, what? It's coming out like at this point? Like when were you gonna tell us that?" Like it was even a surprise to them when exactly it was gonna come out. So when they heard
Oh.
it was gonna come out like this year or last year or whichever, they were just like, "Oh, you sure about that?"
Yikes.
Oh wow. In that case, like I didn't even know that a lot of the developers didn't even know. I mean, that's definitely a money move there.
Little
Mm-hmm.
Like you
alleged,
can tell
but
they're definitely anticipating. Oh, Christmas is coming up. New Year's is coming up. Let's get this out and make some money.
yeah,
But
basically.
it's just so sad because it's like the greed was so short sighted because it's like you're really gonna tell me that no one was gonna buy this game in the middle of a random day in spring, like if it was
Mm.
good, you know what I mean? Like if they really had lived up to the expectations that they themselves were telling us, I can't imagine people just being like, well, yeah, it's not Christmas, so I'm not going to get this $45 game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is just kind of like not only were they greedy and lazy, but they were also just actual idiots. Like, I just don't understand how or why they thought that this was a good move because it's like, I mean, I guess it's truly just that they didn't want to work on the game anymore. Like they just wanted it out there and they didn't really care about it, which is like why would you even work on something like this, hype it up like this and you don't even have the passion to be like actually this game's not coming out until 2025 because we really want this game to be good.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, and a part of the problem was that they I feel like they definitely would have had more leniency if they just stopped announcing release dates, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah, like they should have pulled a Bethesda and just been like, "Okay, listen, this game is coming, but like you're not going to know when until maybe a few months before it comes out." Like
Exactly.
That's what they did with Skyrim and Fallout 4. Like nobody knew exactly when those fucking games were gonna come out until they were announced at the E3 the year that they were gonna come out, and it was usually fall releases. So it's just like, yeah, y'all should have just done that, high key.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I can't help but feel the same way. It's like why even, and again, I'm gonna link that guy. He's a YouTuber too. I'm gonna link him
is
down
it young? Yeah,
because
someone else.
wait,
Asian
what?
guy, or do you see his face, or is it just like a faceless guy?
Oh, I see. Yeah, you can see his face. I just don't have his YouTube up on me right now. But yeah, he kind of made this whole video. He made a one video explaining everything, and then another video kind of explaining the backlash of this apology video that they sent out a few weeks ago. And
Yeah, I feel like I know exactly who you're talking about.
sorry.
No, I was just mumbling to myself. Yeah, I think I know exactly who you're talking about because I probably
Yeah,
watched
yeah,
the
yeah.
videos.
Yeah, him. Yeah. And again, I'll like link him down because that's really where I'm getting the bulk of this information from. But yeah, he's just it. Wait, what was I even saying?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Totally lost my train of thought right there.
What he said about I think you're building up to Bioware Magic. Is that what you're about to say?
I guess. Well, yeah, I guess. Well, I guess at the end of the day, it was like they were just greedy, and I don't know if it was really going to be specifically Bioware Magic. Oh, I guess. Well, something I guess he brought up is that they didn't really care about the game. There was no passion for the game, but I mean, he didn't need to tell me that in order for me to understand that. Like, you can just look at what they fucking did, like just the actions, much like a fuck boy. You know what I mean? Like a fuck boy can tell you a lot of things, but if you look at the actions, like you really know that they never gave a fuck about you. And that's just how I feel about Cyberpunk 2077. It's like you could tell they didn't give a fuck about this game. Like maybe they cared about it in the beginning a little bit at first, but once they realized that it was like too much work, they just like put it all on this Bioware Magic bullshit. And yeah, I guess like something else he was saying too is that a lot of the games that they swear on this biomagic shit aren't even good games. Like I would be like, all right, okay, like BioWare Magic, if it was only for The Witcher 3, but they put out some games that are just like they don't even come onto my radar because they're not even that good. At least for me, someone
Yeah,
who's only really gonna play those big name brands.
yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I mean, like we said earlier, like obviously the developers themselves cared about this game.
Right.
And yeah, it did seem like they had like a lot of passion for it, but they just needed more time. Like there is literally
Yeah.
buildings you can easily access that are basically empty shells. Like there's part of the games that actually there's literally parts of the game that feels unfinished, which is something I don't think I've ever seen in an actual AAA world open world type game like ever, honestly. So it's not that the developers didn't care. It's just like, yeah, corporate didn't care and they just wanted to make money.
Right.
And part of the problem was that, like, oh yeah, we're just gonna fix it later.
Mm-hmm.
That's another problem that's been permeating the industry over the past decade. This whole fix it later mentality that
Yeah.
started, maybe it didn't start entirely with uh what's that game? Um No Man New yeah, No Man's Sky. Is that what it's called? Yeah, No Man's Sky. Yeah. It started with that, it came out and after making a shit ton of promises, and then it wasn't great at first. And then they spent like literally years. Even now, they're still like fixing the game. And it certainly has made leaps and bounds of improvements to the point where a lot of people who are still actually giving the game a shot would go actively say that, yeah, it's a pretty good game now. It even won an award at some point recently. But there it is like a problem because we are setting a precedent saying that it's basically, hey, you can release a game in any which kind of state you want to release it, and as long as you fix it at some point, then people will forgive you eventually, and you'll make money, and it'll be fine. Like you can release a barely functioning game, and as long as you plan on fixing it at some point, then it'll be fine. And that's what
Right.
Cyberpunk's doing right now.
Yeah.
They were releasing patches. They just had to send out a patch like a few days ago to fix the problem that another patch had, where they allowed people to mod their game. But the problem is that hackers could access people's computers through these through this
Mm.
patch through
Jesus.
the mods. So they had to fix that recently. So even their patches need patches, and I'm just like, oh, cool. Now we're really getting cyberpunk with it. People hacking your shit.
Mm.
True cyberpunk experience right there.
Right. Yeah. Maybe they're just trying to be more authentic.
Literally. But yeah, it's just yeah, that's what they are gonna have to do for probably at least another year or so. But just sending out patches after patches, like fixing the fucking game that came out in 2020, and that's not really great. And sure, they'll probably I'm sure a lot of people will call, I mean, even like now people are still saying that it's a pretty great game if you ignore the bugs and shit. But for other people, I don't know, it's just not really, it's not great either. Like Fallout 76 did this too with Bethesda.
Mhm.
Like it was a not a great game, and then like after a year or so they finally released a expansion that allowed NPCs to be there, so like you could actually have stories and shit again, which is a big draw to the Fallout franchise. And now people are saying, yeah, the game's not actually all that bad. It's pretty decent. I'd give it a try. And I'm just like, cool, okay. But yeah, it's like it's setting an industry precedent that's not great. And I don't know. Hopefully, maybe Fallout Cyberpunk 2077 was so was such a big enough flop that like companies are just gonna be like, hey, we're not gonna do that.
Mm.
Essentially.
For real.
Yeah, I mean,
And
but we'll see.
and that's the thing too. Like it's just not true. And I think that's just even something I was also mentioning before, that like the idea of underestimating first impressions, and I guess it's just not in terms of generally, right? Obviously, there are times where first impressions are not true, right? But when you're just putting out a game and your whole mentality is that, oh, yeah, people will hate it now because it's so shitty, but I'll work harder on this game that I've published out to the public for people to buy already, and then they'll like it, and then it will be a good game. That's really like so unprofessional in so many ways. It's like you're not someone who just dived into this ass first. You're like a whole entire company. So the fact that that mentality or that they think or they thought that that type of mentality would really save them is, I don't even really know how to describe it actually. I guess I'm like in between ridiculous and idiotic, because it's just like I don't even know anything about game developing, and even I know that that is a really terrible idea to bank on in terms of like, and there another thing is that they don't even have this game for next gen consoles yet. So their timeline is to work on making it available for next gen consoles before even working on the bugs of the game that's out right now. Which I also think is a kind of dumb idea. But again, it just shows where their real mentality is at. Like, it's like what we were talking about last week with or last week, like literally like a few minutes ago with Resident Evil 8, where it's like they wanted to bank on this certain time, but they at least have a good fucking game on their hands. Like if just don't do this type of stuff if you don't have a playable game.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like unless some random crazy ass shit happens around May, and it turns out that, oh yeah, no, this game's barely functioning too. It definitely looks like Resident Evil 8 is a mostly, if not completely finished, well, yeah, it's definitely a playable and finished game with maybe they might be doing just like a few bug tweaks at this point, which I think is the only thing you should be worried about like a few months out from your release date at that
I
point.
agree.
Yeah.
Mm.
I agree. I feel like you should be worried about this random mysterious hacker who fucked your entire game. And that's the only way that, you know, it would have been acceptable for Cyberpunk to come out this way. They should have even lied, you know what I mean? And been like a hacker. Some this is just like
Oh.
what really, and it would have been, you know, like what you were saying, even with the patch being hacked, it's like it gives you a little bit of an authentic, like, whoa, cyberpunk experience. Whoa, they went out the boundaries. I don't know, but it's like just the real example that they gave, their honest answer. I don't think that was really the time to be honest. Cause it's like I know that I'm not really trying to, like, you know, and other people are not really trying to look for them for the next few years at least. They'll have to really um I don't know. They have a lot to they have a lot going against them in terms of like if they want to make another game and sell it and have it be on the level of like a Last of Us where it can win game of the year.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm, true.
better get started on Witcher 4.
Bank on that.
Yeah.
That's true. They definitely, if Witcher 4 is an amazing game, everything they wanted for Cyberpunk 2077 should just be put into Witcher 4, and then maybe their reputation might go back to a stable place again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
It'll definitely take a while to build up the honestly, yeah, their reputation is definitely tarnished. Kind of forever because like a lot of gamers annoyingly kind of held them up to like this near this damn near godlike status among video game companies, which I didn't quite understand. Like even if their games are like really fucking good, a company is still a company at the end of the day. And you would think people who are into like a cyberpunk future where companies are bad like explicitly like you know capitalism is kind of late stage capitalism is kind of the reason their world is as fucked as it is, but hey, that's besides the point. uh they're just like they were holding up CD Project Red to like this near godlike status, and I'm just like a part of me is honestly a little relieved that like as bad as it sounds, like a part of me is a little relieved that this situation did happen because now people are finally getting it through their heads that it's just like, hey, look, a company's a company at the end of the day. They want our money more than our respect, and unfortunately, that's the situation we're in right now. They cared more about money than they did our trust and respect in their product. So that's why they released a barely functioning game that crashed my computer the first time I tried to play it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, let's talk about some personal grievances we have this like really for real. And that's what I'm saying, like even what like to care about money more than your customer, your client's trust um is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Not like shade, no shade to you, obviously, but just being like, you know, like I feel like we've all taken a business class, and like the one thing we've learned in that business class, maybe it wasn't said in this exact way, but it's like the customer is the priority. You know what I mean? Like the customer being able to trust you and wanting to support you is the only way you get the money. So why would you put your customers, I mean, or why would you put that money over your customers' trust? And I guess that's another thing too. Like for me, it's like I don't know about y'all as consumers, but me as a consumer, I know that I'm a petty ass consumer. Like I'm somebody that will actively not support you if you piss me off in the experience of being your client. Um and I know that I'm like that. So I know a lot of people are like that, where it's like, I had such a bad experience with you. I'm not gonna like, I'm going to actively be against you. Like, it's not even the fact that I'm gonna walk away and not even like promote or support you. Like, I'm actively going against you. And I feel like that's the position that they put themselves in.
Yeah, I'm a Scorpio, so I never forget
I
slights
hate you.
against me. No, for
Hmm.
real though. I don't forget slights against me, so I'm legit just like, oof, you want me to support you after you did that 10 years ago? Maybe not. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And
What about
yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Kara? You the only thing you said was about dicks, and you don't even
Yeah.
really like those much. So
Oh
what do
Don't.
you have to
yeah,
say?
that's the truth. Cyberpunk overall, I'd say, doesn't interest me at all. I
No.
found their storyline a little too, how should I say it? I guess and this is probably what they wanted to do anyway. They wanted to hype it up and fill it with so much, information for us, but overall it did fall flat. Like it didn't hold my interest at all. That's all I can really say.
Hmm. Did you watch a playthrough of The Witcher 3 or anything? Like, how
I
would you
sure
compare
did
it
not.
to? Okay. I was
I
about to ask you,
have
like, how do
nothing
you
to compare it to, and it doesn't interest me. So, I
Hmm.
mean, this would be the perfect, like, first impressions. You want to bring in new gamers to your product, and I mean, if they're not banking on Witcher, how else would you do it?
I mean, I was just
Put
about to
it.
say. I was
Like,
just about to say.
it doesn't bring me in. I'm not interested in it, and after we talk about it, it's probably just going to leave my mind so I can fill it up with Little Nightmares, something that on its
Damn.
first try has interested me.
Period.
Storyline, art style, gameplay, all of it has interested me. What has Cyberpunk done for me? Absolutely nothing.
Uh, Damn. Go bars,
Damn.
Yeah, the
Kara.
only thing
Okay.
that brought me in was like the dick physics, and they can't do
Damn.
that right. So where else
But
then? What can I do?
I mean, but Jot Kara is literally like what I was talking about. Like, there are just some
Yeah.
people out there who, yeah, you're famous, yeah, you're this, yeah, you're that, but they don't fucking know you because they've been
Yeah.
living their own fucking lives.
I
This is
am the consumer. I am the
exactly.
consumer.
Exactly. And I'm just not trying to say it as if I understand business, as if I understand marketing. And I feel like that's why I'm trying to emphasize that, because I just feel like as a 24-year-old person whose only education has been from a prestigious art school, I feel like this was a really, really, really dumb move that even people who are in college learning this shit right now would even understand that this was just not the way to do it. So like
Mm.
it's just like it is just kind of a catastrophe on their part. And I hate to be hyperbolic, but it's like, I mean, goddamn. And you're right. Like, people were hyping them up. They were hyping themselves up.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball. I've been in their position before. I've been in a place where like I was in a very high expectation to succeed, and due to things out of my control, or things within my control, maybe it didn't happen and it was embarrassing. But I'm also not a multi-million-dollar company. I also had
Mhm.
like the privilege of being able to just be someone who could pick their life back up again and start over. It's just really interesting that a company like that would not do that. Because even if I like, we've been calling that nigga bald headed man this whole entire time. We don't know his name, but other companies know his name. Like, he's blacklisted. You can't tell me that nigga ain't blacklisted. Like,
CD Projekt Red's definitely being sued right now by their investors.
oh,
Mm.
yeah, that's another thing too. They're like, I don't know, like I didn't know about their investors, but I knew like some customers were trying to sue them too, due to like false advertisement or some bullshit like that as
Yeah, which
well.
never goes through. But getting sued by your investors, that has some weight to it. That's
Yeah.
actually gonna like come to fruition.
But even the people
But
who are suing them for false advertisement, that's like the me being a petty customer times 10. You know what I mean? They don't expect to get money. They just want to prove a point. Like the game
Mhm.
was that bad that I want my money back and that I will make a big enough deal that other people know that your game is shit too. Like that, it's just more bad press. More press means more less. I mean, means less sales and you know, what have you. I'm drinking a
Although
beer.
pre-sales probably more than made up for it, high key.
Sorry, what was that?
Saying pre-sales probably made up for that though. That's the problem. Another problem in the industry.
Well, I don't know. I just feel like they took advantage of that, but I don't know a lot of games who have tried that slick shit the way they did. Because you're right. There is a certain like scouts honor to that shit, but again, it's like a scouts honor because like no one's ever gonna fucking buy anything from you ever again, except for like your psycho fans, which
The people who played Witcher 3 will probably buy their games, but yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably gonna buy Witcher 4 if it's even but I mean,
That to you.
I don't
it
know. The thing is that like so I was looking forward to Cyberpunk because I as much as I actually will say that I watched the playthrough of like the first Witcher of the Witcher 3 the game itself and even and like one of the DLCs Heart of Stone and I'm just like
yeah.
you know what? I will give CD Projekt Red this. Storytelling is definitely one of their strongest points because they can tell pretty decent stories. I was honestly kind of invested at some point, but the thing is
Mm.
that like watching it is different from playing it, and I'm not really the type of person to play like a 100 plus hour game willingly as a old straight white guy like I was hoping to. Part of the appeal of playing Cyberpunk 2077 was that oh hey, I can design my own character. If I want my character to have a huge dick, they can. If I want my character to be a non-straight black woman, she can. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I wanted that, but with like the storytelling that The Witcher 3 provided this on the same caliber, then it sounds like okay, cool, great. And you're talking about this immersive world. There's going to be like all kinds of stuff you can do. Like part of the appeal of the game is that you're getting to, buy you're going to have more customization options essentially. That was my appeal to it. But like that didn't even happen really. So, yeah, kind of false advertisement there as well. So,
Yeah, exactly. And they have better. I don't know. There are just games that I wouldn't even consider open world for the most part. I mean, they've become open world now to me, but when they initially came out, they weren't as open world, at least to my knowledge. And they have way better graphics, way better coding. Like you can just tell that there's a lot more elbow grease in that shit. So
even Skyrim's NPCs had actual fucking schedules. I mean,
right,
and
like
that game came out 2011.
even like literally Grand Theft fucking Auto, all of them, all of them have had better fucking paths, fucking schedules for their non-playable characters, and it's just
Ooh, being proper, saying the full
like,
word.
like why? I just don't understand why we just copied and paste this coding. I understand that like to code is probably a fucking nightmare in itself, but it's like this is kind of your I'm not this is language where I feel like I'm yelling at the developers and it's not the developers' fault. not
Yeah.
not not the hardworking ones anyway. It's the bigger boys.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, my limited knowledge of coding is that no, it's not easy at all.
It certainly is
So
not. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, so like the thing is that copying pasting code wouldn't even necessarily be a bad thing if they had like multiple types of code for like different situations. The problem is that like almost every NPC had like one civilian NPC had like one code, Like you point a gun at them, they duck. There's no, I don't know, let's say variables. Like there's no other codes for like a specific type of NPC. Like so civilian NPCs are literally just one type of NPC. There's no oh, here's a brave NPC that has a gun. Here's like, it didn't feel like a cyberpunk world where like different type of people existed. Because like in a world like that, in our world, if you decided to run in the middle of traffic and start waving your gun around, one crazy ass person is gonna take their gun out and start aiming
Right.
too. Like that's in real life. So in a world with cyberpunk where you could literally get a cute little plastic gun from a fucking vending machine in canon, you know for a fact that like way more civilians should have guns on them. But even that's not a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, even again, like not to like compare it to Grand Theft Auto, but but again, like Grand Theft Auto, some when you fight some people, some of them run, but if you fight some people, some of them stay and try to hold their own. And it's really interesting just to like it's like at random, you know? So I feel like that is just these small little tidbits that you never think about until you realize they're not there and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like this isn't just foundation basic shit. Like this is actually something that we need to applaud and praise so that other companies know that this is like our standard of gaming.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. And I don't again, it's just like I'm not a professional gamer, like some random 13-year-old white boy could probably beat my ass in a game, but again, it's like you want my money, right? And I guess that's the mindset I'm coming at it with because the reason why all of this happened is because they want money. But that is just not a satisfying enough answer for me because then you have to think about how this was just so short-sighted, like I said in the beginning. Like yeah, they'll get all that money, they got all that pre-order money and shit like that, but it's like they're never gonna get money ever again.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the thing, though. Like, people are pretty. Some people are more forgiving than others, so there's gonna be quite a few that are just gonna be like, "All right, y'all fucked up," but like that Witcher 4 trailer was looking fine though. Like that's the thing. Like the moment they start doing promo for Witcher 4 and like that shit goes on pre-order, there's probably gonna be a decent amount of people that are still gonna pre-order that shit, which is the annoying reality. So it kind of comes back to the consumer, like maybe we should stop pre-ordering. But then again, like I don't know, it does also feel a little wrong to put the entire onus on us because high key developers don't have to do this, but they keep making money, and that's all
Yeah.
the companies themselves care about at the end of the day. So
I gotta be honest with you. I was not gonna pre-order Cyberpunk, and that's actually I think why I'm not even like I'm saying some shit now. But I feel like if I had genuinely bought that game, I wouldn't be as calm as I am now, if you can even say that. Because yeah, it's like what the hell. I was definitely just gonna buy it when it came out, and even then, I still waited a little bit just to kind of see the reviews, and not because I had any type of sneaking suspicion or anything, just because I'm not really the type to pre-order because of shit like this. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean for many reasons, but this is like one of those worst case scenario reasons that I think about every now and again. Um but yeah, uh I think you're also right too. It is a little unfair to put it all on the consumer. Like, why just don't have the option to pre-order the game if the game is not going to be ready? Like the only reason people pre-order the game is because they know that once it comes out, they're getting the game. So if someone pre-ordered that game, but they knew they weren't going to get it until 2028, they wouldn't care because they just know that it's going to be a solid game. I feel like that's kind of just where they fucked up. That's just where they fucked up. They were talking all that shit and they couldn't hold up any of it.
Yeah.
But there's only so long that we can even make the same complaints. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little tired of Cyberpunk for the time being.
Yeah, me
Uh,
too. I know people still play that, and I am actually watching a YouTuber right now who plays it, but that's really going to be until they fix it at least. That's really going to be my only experience with it. And I got to be honest with you, if they're still trying to get $50 out of me, I just don't know if it's going to be. I just don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to say anything crazy and then in July, it's like, oh, you know what? Cyberpunk isn't actually that bad of a game. It's actually my obsession. That could easily happen. So I don't want to say anything crazy, but yeah, this was really disappointing. But that's just kind of the that's just kind of the decade we're in right now, you guys. If you haven't noticed, we're entering a decade where a lot of things are gonna disappoint us and inconvenience us.
Mm.
I hate it already.
You should hate it already because we have COVID. Well, wait. We don't have COVID.
But yeah, I'll say, speak for
We're
yourself.
dealing with the culture of COVID.
Yeah. Well, I don't
You
know.
guys
Yeah.
have anything else to say before I just kind of wrap it up?
Nope. I feel like we got a lot of stuff out, or at least you guys got a lot of stuff out, and I got a rant out, which was good.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk over you, Kara. But I guess
Yeah.
you just have no interest in this game, so I guess it's
I
okay.
really don't. I
You know what
really don't.
That's funny.
Kara's energy kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of that person who genuinely is indifferent towards a person. And it's like that person is like, why do you hate me? Why do you hate me? And it's like, I don't hate you. I just
Yeah.
genuinely do not care about you.
It's
That's
like,
really all it is.
not that I don't care about them. It's just like I have literally never talked or thought about you until it's been brought up. That's it.
Yeah.
Period. That's so funny. Okay.
Yeah, like you're just it's one of those situations where you're genuinely indifferent as opposed to
Mm.
pretending, which is just hilarious to me. But yeah, you guys, this was a sad episode. I can't lie. I feel sad wrapping up. Like
Really?
it's
Why?
Yeah, not
well,
sad
bitch,
until we.
like again, you don't care.
I don't know. I thought you guys would have felt cathartic or something to get this out.
Well,
Were
we
you
get
guys
this out
really hopeful
twice.
for this game, or
I did have some kind of hope. I was hoping it'd be good,
This
but it
game
wasn't
is
even that.
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just am genuinely emotional about this game. this game to me is like a fuck boy, you know what I mean? Like it just told me all of this shit and I really believed it. And then when it gave me mediocrity, it was like, well, why did I end up believing all this bullshit in the first place? Like you end up being mad at yourself even though you're not the one who was really at fault.
Yeah.
So that's how this game makes me feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah. Yeah. I'm not. My heart's not into it either. So I'm just like, yeah. Fuck off, Cyberpunk.
For real. Well, anyway, yeah, like I said, it's definitely a farewell cyberpunk type of podcast episode today tonight. But that was it. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys are at least happy that you listened to us be sad about this game. I feel like a lot of people are just sad. This is just a very disappointing part of gaming culture to talk about, I guess.
I mean, some people did form their entire whole ass vacations around this shit. And I'm just like, okay, look, I pre-ordered this game. That's the most I'll do for a video game. I will pre-order it. Like, if you have my trust, if I pre-order something, there's only a handful of games I've ever pre-ordered.
Yeah, same. So yeah, but yeah, guys, this was Choose Your Fighter with your girl Ria, Jock, Kara, and Kai, Burning Star. You guys want to give out where they can find you?
Okay. This is Kara or Kara. You can find me at Marbled Water, Instagram and Twitter. So yeah, I upload my art. I'm doing portraits. So yeah, check me out.
Okay, I'm Burning Star. A little less burning right now, but I'm Kai. You can find me on Twitch as Burning Star 141, same as Twitter. I'm pretty sure I'm Burning Star official on Instagram. Yay, I stream.
Mm-hmm.
Word. And let's be real, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably already know where to find me. So we're just going to end it. And, thank you guys for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Mm-hmm. Goodbye.
Okay. Woo.
Yeah,
All
Uh,
right.
it's already 11, man.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was
Mm.
kind of thinking, if you guys don't mind, that maybe because our third topic is so broad, maybe we should just do it next Thursday.
Yeah.
Um and
Mhm.
kind of give a little bit more research cuz I know I need some more time to research.
Yeah, and it's not something we have to
Mm-hmm.
do immediately. Like I
Right.
honestly, I was thinking if we kept going tonight, we could maybe we'd be better off just talking about the first Little Nightmares game. Honestly,
I mean, to be honest, that's probably the better, more strategic move to do.
yeah.
Because,
Mm-hmm.
like, we're basically, I don't know about y'all, but I just noticed that we have basically branded our whole YouTube, Twitch, social media career on Little Nightmares, the franchise. So it's like we might as
I
well
mean,
do a
well, just
podcast
for
on
the
it.
time being, but yeah, like yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
because
just
like
for the
it's like
time being. But I
yeah,
mean, like, still, like, I think like it's very timely to at least talk about. Well, I don't really know because I also haven't finished the game. I was gonna finish the game
Wanna
today,
finish it?
but YouTube and Premiere, really Premiere, wanted to be a bitch, but it's fine. I love Premiere. I love you. Don't do that bullshit you were doing. Um,
Well,
but
what part
yeah,
are you
Yeah,
on
I
right
mean,
now? Are you like
so
are you at the eating place?
yeah, so the next chapter I have to do is when those hordes of eaters are trying to eat my ass.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Those are like the last part. Those two, the last two chapters of the game are easily the shortest. So,
Yeah.
okay. So if you try to, I mean, well, I don't have any. I can't really instruct you to do anything. But like, if you can finish it tomorrow, then we can handle the DLC. So then we can like really talk about it. Thursday, at least about the first game. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to finish the second game, but yeah, we could definitely talk about it towards the end of the month.
Uh
mm-hmm.
well, yeah, or the second game. Yeah, definitely. I think you're actually right. I think that on Tuesday, tomorrow we're doing the DLC. So I think tomorrow morning I am actually going to finish the game. If I wake up on time cuz it is now 11.
Yeah.
And yeah, then it comes out. You said we'll be able to play it on the 10th because we pre-ordered it, and I'm really excited for that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that actually works what you said. Like, I'll try to finish the game this morning. We'll do the DCL, DCL. I keep saying DCL
DCL.
instead of DLC. It's so annoying. But yeah, we can do that. And then this Thursday we can talk about the game and little, like, our predictions for Little Nightmares too. And if we've played it already, we can talk a little bit about what we've already played.
Yeah, it'll
Mm.
be less predictions and more what our impressions are at this point, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And so yeah, that can be this Thursday, no doubt. And then next Thursday could be gaming during the pandemic or whatever. I put my notebook
Well, I don't know. I mean, we might want to aim for like a little more Valentine's Day type thing
Oh
because
yeah, that's coming up.
yeah,
away. Oh, true. But
I
we're
Yeah.
was
all
thinking.
single.
Well, I was
I mean,
thinking
maybe
that like,
like, oh,
huh?
sorry. I was
I'm
gonna do like simulator games like dating sims, Dream Daddy and such.
okay.
Yeah,
We
There's
can do
like the
Dream
that.
Daddy.
KFC simulator came out, and I
Oh my
actually
god.
did play a little bit of that.
I was also think
Mm.
we could maybe talk about The Last of Us too because that's like a lot about romantic relationships, and I feel like we had a lot to talk about, especially you, Kamaria.
That's true.
True. Maybe we should just have it be like talk shit about relationships. I know that last year last year that's kind of what we wanted to do around this
Mm.
time. where we like wrote down a few game iconic gaming romantic couples, and we were gonna just talk shit about them for an hour.
Yeah,
And I think that's a
can
good
work for
idea
you.
too. Actually, you coming through with these good ideas, sis.
Mhm.
Thanks.
But yeah, I think like that's actually a really good plan to talk about. Well, yeah, we have to do Little Nightmares on Thursday because that's its release date, you know. So it would kind of be foolish not to. But I think
Mhm.
the 18th would be a perfect time to talk about couples because it's like 4 days after Valentine's Day, you know, like people are so going to be into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Wow, and then like we end the month with pandemic. What was it again? How the pandemic affected the gaming industry. And
Yeah.
then that's like a whole fucking month of
Yeah, and that
podcasts,
should
y'all.
be plenty of time to finish, or at least get through the majority of Little Nightmares too.
Hell yeah, yeah. Hell yeah.
Yep.
If the game is as short as the first game, you'll definitely be done it before the week's
I,
out.
I mean, I hear it's supposed to be longer, like maybe
Oh.
even twice as long. I don't know how
Oh
long, but it's
wow.
definitely longer than the first game. Which, I mean, granted, the first game is still relatively short, but yeah, it's supposed to be longer.
Oh wow. Then it might be like an actual full length game. Hmm.
Yeah, instead of like 1 hour, it might take you like 2 hours to finish. Who knows?
Yeah. Hmm. Wow.
Uh,
Interesting.
Also, check out that trailer I linked in the chat. I don't know if you've seen it, but
Oh
pretty
well.
good.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Well, I'm
definitely
gonna
will.
stop recording